Thank you for staying with us. It's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And I begin with the Vanguard newspaper. The major story here says Super Eagles soar into African finals, beat plucky South Africans 4-2 on penalties. And that's the picture there depicting the reaction of the footballers, the Super Eagles, reacting to their win. Osimhen there reacting. We see a lot of them there actually, excited about that victory. We move to another story here. Court orders federal government to fix prices of petrol, diesel, others within 7 days. Court orders federal government to fix prices of petrol, diesel, others within 7 days. Now, greedy monarchs, community leaders aid kidnappers in Southwest. Hunters are alleging. That's quite a weighty allegation. And then another story here says stakeholders to Tinubu partnership with Grammy Awards will destroy Nigeria's music industry. At the 2024, PDP leaders bicker over delegates Congress. And at the top, we have insecurity in Northwest. Kaduna governor blames poverty, hopelessness, others. Catholic Church to federal government tackle Nigeria's insecurity issues head on. And another story here, will open reserves to address food costs, federal government is saying. Those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper. We'll move now to the front page of the Salient Times. And the major story here, hardship, fresh protests erupt in Niger after arrest of 25 people, will open reserves to address rising food costs. Federal government is saying, ignore nationwide protest over hardship at your peril. APC chieftain warns federal government. And the picture there depicting that of protesters who were seen protesting against the high cost of living in Niger State. That was yesterday. Now, flour, salt, milk, petrol. Court gives federal government 7 days to fix prices of goods. Whole mouths dug out of patients' esophagus during surgery. Wow. Another story here. Nigeria Super Eagles saw past South Africa into African final. Baby factory busted in Anambra, 5 pregnant girls rescued. Man slums while driving, dies in Osun accident. Reps to probe ban of sachet alcoholic drinks. Some of the stories you find. Well, this one quickly. World's oldest man celebrates his 123rd birthday in Brazil. Interesting. All right, we move quickly now to the First News newspaper. The major story here, hardship, court orders federal government to fix prices of food, fuel within 7 days. Milk, flour, sugar, petroleum products, bicycles, motorcycles, vehicles, spare parts, inclusive. Ibadan explosion, we've identified 3 masterminds, or your government is saying. Stop blame game, fulfill your promises, PRP blasts APC. Prince Harry returns to U.S. after visiting ailing King Charles III. Now, Super Eagles with South Africa to qualify for AFCON final. Tinubu congratulates team on victory. Worsening insecurity, Abuja under threat, Senate cries out as reps invite NSA, the Inspector General of Police, other security chiefs over insecurity in the Federal Capital Territory. And we have the story, 88.4 million people in Nigeria living in extreme poverty, federal government is saying. 1.3 billion naira Ford General Overseer acquired hotel, others with subscribers' funds. EFCC is saying INEC issued certificates of return to winners of rerun by-election. And at the downstream, dollarization, EFCC raises 14 task forces, arrests racketeers. And those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the First News newspaper. To the Daily Times, Senate in crucial talks with security chiefs over insecurity. EFCC launches task force to combat forex crimes. And 3 suspects to face prosecution for Ibadan explosion. And those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the Daily Times. And to the leadership newspaper, it's the major story here. Says jailbreaks, 4,000 prisoners still on the loose 2 years after. Correctional service can't account for fleeing inmates. Our database was destroyed in NSAS crisis. Hashtag NSAS crisis. That's what they are saying. And equity pupils, how we raised 50 million naira ransom. The families are reporting this. Nigeria to face Côte d'Ivoire in first AFCON final since 2013. That's going to be an interesting one. Now, court gives federal government 7 days to fix prices of goods. 15 drug kingpins back 168 years in 2023. NDLEA saying NNPC records 14,000 barrels per day production from Akpo Westfield. Those are some of the stories you find on the front page of the leadership newspaper. Ibraheem.
This Nigeria is the first with me. 88.4 million Nigerians living in extreme poverty. Agric Ministry Permanent Secretary. And the writers read, men living in less than $1.90 a day reached around 44.7 million, while the cost was at 43.7 million for women. Protest over high cost of living hits Ogi. There will be no abandoned project in FCT under Tinubu, says Wike. World Bank provides $45 billion to tackle global food crisis. Insecurity. Senate postpones meeting with military security chiefs to Tuesday. Invites defense, police affairs, interior ministers, NIA boss. And on the era of the newspaper, Super Eagles break stubborn South African team. Cruise into AFCON final. Next is the Punch newspaper. Forex crisis. EFCC 7,000-man task force goes after dollar racketeers. EFCC summons private varsities, proprietors, companies, others charging dollar fees, government agencies violating law on Forex too. NESG tells Commission airlines promise compliance. Above the masthead, Tinubu inaugurates student loan scheme February the 21st. 500,000 jobs threatened over ban on sachet alcoholic drinks. Man, government approval delays Dangote refinery fuel. And then Nwabali shines as Nigeria beats South Africa to reach AFCON final. Oyo to prosecute three held over Ibadan explosion. Okada riders, policemen clash as Lagos enforces ban. Cashless transactions rise to 611 trillion naira. That's according to NIBSS. Next is the Nation newspaper. EFCC clamps down on firms for issuing invoices in dollar. Agency arrests suspect in Lagos. Port Harcourt, Kaduna. University proprietors summoned. Creative industry leaders reject minister's African Grammy plan. Page 4. Oyo gives 460 million naira to 1,407 farmers in economic recovery plan. World Bank's $15 billion for 30 projects in Nigeria. My plan for Ondo by Senator Jimoh Ibraheem. Alscon privatization dispute persists. Then NNPCL begins production of extra 14,000 barrels per day. Reps bill for polls in 1 day passes second reading. And Oyo to prosecute 3 over Ibadan blast. That's on page 5. Expectant teenagers rescued from baby factory. You can read that up on page 6. It's on the bottom strip of the Nation newspaper. Last but not least, Nigeria News Direct. Nigeria's treasury bills yield 23.45% increase, highest ever in a single auction, set to relieve pressure on Naira in FX market as EFCC moves to restrain business owners from charging in dollars. Report exposes cause of Ibadan explosion. Fingers 3 culprits. Nigeria's crude production gets boost as Apple West Field begins production of 14,000 barrels per day. And again, above the masthead, we have Super Eagles beat South Africa's Bafana to qualify for AFCON finals. Ban on alcohol in sachets, PET bottles, counterproductive. That's according to Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. And Lagos disburses 398.83 million naira to 136 beneficiaries of deceased public servants. That's on page 21. And last but not least is inflation. Court orders federal government to fix prices of flour, vehicle spare parts, petroleum products, others. That's about it for the newspapers up for review this morning.
Right. Let's quickly touch on some of the stories, especially the one you just took, talking about the court order asking the federal government to fix the prices of certain goods. Let me just give a background to the story. So, Federal High Court in Lagos had ordered that the federal government fix the price of goods and petroleum products. And in Nigeria, in accordance with Section 4 of the Price Control Act, within 7 days from yesterday.
That's right.
Now, the senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, had taken this matter to the court and asked the court to determine whether Section 4 of the Price Control Act, the first respondent, was carrying out its statutory duty to impose a price on any good of the kind specified in the first schedule to the Price Control Act. Now, this is in response to the hike in the cost of food items and some of the things in the first schedule. We're looking at the prices of bicycles and spare parts, flour, matches, milk, motorcycles and spare parts, motor vehicles and spare parts, salt, sugar and petroleum products, including diesel, premium motor spirits as petrol and kerosene. But in 7 days, there are those who have argued that how is that going to be possible? Because the people who import these things do that at a certain cost. So who is going to cover for whatever cost? If you fix this price below what they have imported these goods, the amount they have imported, who is going to cover for the extra cost? And how are we going to look at balancing this act? Although the federal government seemingly has responded to addressing this issue. Recall that there was a protest in Niger State, for instance. But how do we balance these issues? That's where the problem lies. 7 days is counting.
Well, it's kind of ex parte judgment because the federal government didn't respond, even though the Attorney General was joining the suit. They didn't respond. They received the petition, but they didn't say anything. So the court had to go ahead to rule in the favor of the senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, who is fighting the cause of the people. So we say, because if you see the price of everything is just skyrocketing and everywhere seems to be boiling, and it's just like everything is going out of control. So it's very sad that we're having to go through this route. But also, we'll see how this whole thing pan out. Because if you look at some of these products that are being or that are under this issue, talk about salt, matches. Matches,
milk.
I mentioned bicycle, milk, petroleum products such as kerosene, petrol, etc. So all of these things, you really can't say how the federal government, but the court didn't even mention the methodology that the federal government can, go about.
No, it's for the federal government to find a way around it, perhaps. That's what they're saying. Yeah,
so 7 days, definitely the only way to do that in the meantime is to subsidize. So if you're already removing subsidy, because it is just the two policies of, okay, we remove the removal of your subsidy as well as the floating of the naira and all of that, that actually led to the prices of things going haywire. And unfortunately, some businesses are also taking advantage of this. You already stock up, and then you heard that something has gone up, and then the next thing is, before you even dispense with the one you already have, you're adding.
Yeah, because they'll tell you that if they return, go back to the market, the prices they may not be able to afford.
Yeah, that makes sense. Business.
They're in business
but the thing
for
is,
profit.
The thing is, the way they go about it. Sometimes some people are just doing these things arbitrarily. They don't care. They just want to make profit. They want to profiteer. So it's worse enough that some people are not worried about. Okay, how does this affect the people on the street? We should be reasonable about doing all of these things. But then it's
but
also
the question will be how reasonable.
What
is reasonable? If we are talking about being reasonable, what then will be reasonable?
Yes, so they have organization, and they also have the ways they regulate themselves. And I feel that if they sit down to properly have this conversation, this negotiation before they go ahead and fix price, not arbitrarily, because sometimes it's just, okay, for instance, I went to the market last week or 2 weeks ago to buy egg, a crate of egg, from where the person sells it to other people. So it was about was it earlier in January? It was about 2,700. Then you go the following week to 1,800. The last time I was there, now it's 3,700. So you can imagine how this thing is going. So I just told the woman, I said, okay, fine. I know that by the time I come next week, you'll be telling me 4,000. So it's really crazy. It doesn't have to go that way.
They'll tell you the cost of feed and all of that.
Yeah, the cost of corn, that everything has gone up and all of that. But it's really crazy. So the government, just like an APC chieftain is warning the federal government to not, sit down on concern. It's not that they are not concerned.
Well, the government, that's why I said the government has similarly responded in a way where it's asking, putting a committee together to look into the matter. I believe that is a response to all of the issues.
Yeah, the government also said
there's also a protest in Niger State and another state that I can't remember right now.
There was one in Osun. There is another one in Kogi.
So because of the high costs. Of food items, a lot of persons cannot. Yesterday, I stopped by the road to say, okay, let me buy roasted corn, for instance, and I saw the amount that it was.
Roasted corn?
Yes.
Do they have corn in?
Yes, I saw it was quite expensive, and in my head I was thinking, oh, this is getting, it's getting to a point where the ordinary man may not be able to afford little things like roasted corn, boli, that's roasted plantain, as it is because of the cost of food items it is. And these are staples that people just stop by the way, buy, purchase, just to fill their stomach, to just go through the day. But unfortunately, it's getting out of hand at this point. Come to think of bread, rice, milk, and other things. It's something. I just hope the government will be able to find a solution to this whole matter.
So talking about the price of things going up, it's not only the issue of the FX, it's also the insecurity that we are recording in places.
Absolutely. Farmers can't go to the farm.
All of those places. So there's so much on the table for the government. I don't know, whoever is in power won't say that he or she has bitten more than they can chew, but because this country is very large, and so many other people are also trying to profit out of, the woes of Nigerians. Imagine the government said, we have enough food. Okay, now let's go to the food bank and, release all of these things. But how are we going to be, how can we be sure that these things will get to the common man? And
but there are those who have questioned these reserves, grain reserves that we are always trying to fall back on. That how much of grains do we actually have there? Do we really know the true situation of things with the grains? Because what most of the farmers do is to import.
And a hungry man has a voracious appetite. So
as it is.
You can imagine how much people want to take. But the thing is, those who will not take this thing to the people that need it, they already have money. Some will even take it and start selling. You saw what happened during the NSAS protest and all of that. So I feel there's a whole lot to do. Set up task force, and then ensure that these things get to the common man. Whichever way the government wants to do it, they have to do it pronto, because the time is.
Remember the palliatives that the government put in place at some point that some states were trying to share. We saw how some people were fighting over it, as some persons were injured in the process. How it is that people also complained that they did not get anything, and those that even got,
they said that it's too small. That is this little one is going to cater to in all of us in the on the estate, and some were saying, okay, fine, if you know that this is not going to help you, why don't you just give it to those who need it at that time? It means that you have something at home.
So it still falls back on we Nigerians being selfless in all of this, because the goal is for us to have a stable economy. If you know you do not need something, if you know you can help someone, just do it, extend that hand in your own little way, and please do not take advantage of people. At this point, it's so much that a lot of Nigerians are going through already, and then to take advantage of them, it's not ideal. It's not.
That's right. We just hope that these things are done in good enough time, because time is really taking. And
time is of essence.
I know that uneasy lies the head that wear the crown this time round, because the president, coming back from France immediately, they had a meeting. The National Assembly summoning the security team, and then the security chiefs to also come around. So all of these things, I'm sure that they are really on top of the matter. But then, how soon do we get to see this?
You see, that's the question on the lips of an average Nigerian. How soon? How soon?
Everybody was jubilant yesterday as a result of the march, but somebody was saying, right on my WhatsApp, saying, "Come on, does that bring down the price of naira?"
Of course, something to be excited about, at least for some time. But then the reality comes to hit you, to tap you on your back. You say, "I am still here.
Hungry.
I am still here." So we can only hope for the best. We are not trying to make the situation make jest of any situation,
make light of it,
make light of it. But it's about the fact that government needs to be up its game as it is, and I'll do that as quickly as possible, because Nigerians seem to have tightened their belts to the last point as it is.
That's right.
All right, let's quickly look at another story right now. Well, it still has to talk the issue of insecurity, because we still have some time on our hands. A matter of insecurity in Abuja, the Senate is crying out about the worsening insecurity and all of it. You see, a lot of persons have said that their reaction to this matter, it was until it now got to the point where the Federal Capital Territory is insecure. That is why they are responding. There are those who have said that, but several times they have called the committees to come talk on these issues. But how far-reaching are those conversations to addressing these matters? We can only hope that this time around, even though there was a report saying that the NSA was not available yesterday for that meeting that they were called, we are hoping that we'll get some response, because the situation in the FCT is quite alarming.
Yeah, because on top of that, it's the seat of power. You expect that place should be, that area should be well policed. No one should go there and breach the security. So if that is happening, people will not wonder, so what about other places? How safe will they be if the FCT is under, that kind of criminal attack, you understand? So there's a whole lot, there's a whole lot for the government to really work on.